Hello, hello. So I had asked you all if you prefer to hear about my baby must-haves or my teacher must-haves, and teacher must-haves blew baby out of the water. So today I will be giving you my 3 top must-haves as a teacher. But these must-haves, like I could give you must-haves for my top 3 in reading, my top 3 in math or science or whatever. But these are my top 3 teacher must-haves as far as like physical things that you would need to box up and take with you. Because my perspective is coming from now changing classrooms 3 years in a row, going from full-time to job share, now back to full-time, going to my 3rd different site, going from gen ed to GATE. So a lot of transitions that have required me to say like, do I really need this? Am I actually going to use this next year? And so I've really been able to narrow it down. And I am going to give them to you in order of priority. So, my first one is the classroom library. And, my first couple of years, I spent a ridiculous and unnecessary amount of time in my classroom library, trying all these different ways to organize it and set it up and label and, level them, everything, like crazy. I went crazy. I still love my classroom library, but for me, and I know that there's research-based reasons to set up your classroom in a variety of different ways, but it just didn't fit me or the amount of time that I was dedicating to it. And probably because I'm type A and I couldn't just get it done, I obsessed over it. So I don't have it organized probably as well as some of you guys do. However, it is still my number 1 top priority to have with me wherever classroom I go to, because of several different reasons. I love to use it as a way to reflect the diverse student in my classroom, whether that is their family makeup, their ethnicity, their religion, their culture, whatever. So I call those, whenever we talk about books in my classroom, I call those their mirror books. They're books that reflect who they are. And I also try to bring in books that are window books. And window books are an opportunity for them to look into the window into somebody else's life, to give them perspective, to teach them something new. And that is incredibly important to me. There was actually a blog, I'll see if I can find the link and provide it to you, but there was a blog who kind of broke that explanation down, like window books versus mirror books, and I love it. I use it all the time. And it's also really nice because let's say you work in an area that's diverse, but your particular school site is in one neighborhood, and the next neighborhood over, they just don't understand each other. It's a great way to bring in window books that way. Or if something is happening around the world that is causing just a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings, and it's a great way to connect to current events and that sort of thing. So I love my classroom library for all of those teachable moments and real life application. I also bring in high interest books, and one of the ways that I do that is in the beginning of the year, I always get a bazillion and one Scholastic book orders, and I always have more than I need, so I'll give each student the Scholastic book order, and I tell them pick 3 books. Have to be books. They can't be the necklaces or the slime or that stuff. So pick 3 books. If they could have any book that they wanted, what 3 books would they want? And then I save those, and as I have points or what have you, then I will purchase those books and add them to our library. And a couple things I've noticed is I get to learn about them, their interest from the get-go. I get to bring in high interest books into the library. I'm not having to guess what that is. And then also a lot of times students will pick those mirror books themselves, especially if they in their experiences haven't seen themselves reflected in the children's literature that they've been exposed to. So it's just a great opportunity on so many fronts. And then I'm telling you, my library, I just love it so much because it leads to so many different activities that I can do. I don't even know if I'm going to have time to talk about my next 2 ones because of the time here. But whenever I get new books, whether they're from the book order or what have you, I always make a big deal about it, and I present them. And my goal is to put it in a student's hand who is interested in reading it, as opposed to just putting it in the library, because I want them in their hands as quickly as possible. And they're always super excited to be the first ones that want the book, and I have to talk to them about don't just take the book to be cool and have the book first, only request the book if you really want to read it. But then I use the place, like for a plate that you would like prop it up and present it. Like, I don't know who in the world does that anymore, so like they have them at Goodwill and stuff. And so I'll tell the kids, when you're done reading it, or if you decide to ditch it, like put them in those, I don't know why I'm blanking on the words, but pop them up in there, and that way other students who wanted that book can go and get it. So that way it just keeps it easy to find as I'm adding different things to them. Let's see. I also, I seriously, like, am intimately involved with all of the books in my library. I know, like, every single book in there, and I will pull books that are related to content, or if there's, like, different, there's Black History Month and Women's and all of that, I will, like, highlight books. And so I know what I have in my library, and I can quickly grab and use them for a variety of things. I also like to have, like, how-to books, or books that are commonly used for the kids when they pick like their Genius Hour projects and that sort of thing. So I mean, it just, like, the list goes on and on and on. I'm sure you're in the comments could leave me all kinds of things, cool things that you do with your classroom library. But classroom library is like my number one top must-have as a teacher, and curate it and add to it and grow it and the ways that are supportive of your students and reflect your students. So like when I box up my stuff at the end of the school year to change sites and classrooms, like 90% of my boxes were full of the books. I had very few boxes of like other stuff. So that's my number one. My number two is like bins, containers, like all of that type of stuff. Like when you walk down that teacher aisle in the dollar store or whatever, and like the very next one is like all the containers. And that is because it helps like me keep my systems organized and flowing. So my paper system for all the papers that come in and out of a classroom, like it's ridiculous how much paper we have, so it allows me to create a system for keeping that organized, not losing anything. Student papers from the office, my own papers, whatever. It also allows me to create systems and organize the supplies I want the students to have their own independent access to small groups, to, I mean, anything and everything. Like, seriously, it's useful for so many things. The list goes on. But one of the reasons the paper system is huge, but the second one that's really big for me is having bins out of supplies that students have access to. I am always working on making my classroom more and more student-centered as I grow and learn and improve, and by having those resources out and available, it's really helped. Obviously, depending on where you work, it takes a lot of training and learning and trust building all together. But that was something that I've been able to use it for, and it's gone really well overall. And my third one is small and simple, but it's clipboards. Like, seriously, a clipboard for every student. I am also not an expert, but love the idea and have dabbled with flexible seating. I don't have any fancy, like, formal flexible seating options, but I have lots of options, and clipboards is like the quickest, easiest way to give them options. I mean, we could take the whole class outside. They could easily work. They can sit on the floor somewhere, or in the teacher's chair, or wherever that's flexible, right? They can sit wherever they want, and their clipboard gives them the ability to still write, work, whatever, kind of gives them a formal space to be. So clipboards for me have been really great for providing movement, flexible seating. I've also used it for like behavior management. It gives them choice. I give them the ability to self-monitor too. Like, if where you're seated is not serving you, like you feel distracted or whatever the case, like self-monitor. Can you go sit over here? Is that open and available, and it'll help you learn and focus and participate, or whatever it is I'm asking you to do? Then excuse yourself quietly and politely, pick your clipboard and go do that. So I really try to empower them to be able to self-evaluate and make choice in a way that's going to benefit them. And the clipboards are a nice, easy way for me to be able to do that. Or I like to do like fishbowl activities, where some kids are in the center and the other kids are around them, or watching them. And literally, again, I'm sure you can put in the comments all different kinds of ways that you move around in your classrooms, and how you're like, oh yeah, clipboards would make that drastically easier. So those are my top three must-haves as a teacher. An amazing classroom library, bins or containers for systems and whatever you're setting up in your classroom, and number three is the clipboard. So feel free to, in the comments, leave me which ones you like, and if you have a different set of top three, share them, or if you agree but use it in a different way, something I've shared, then please, I want to learn from you as well. So drop them in the comments, and I look forward to learning from you.